All right.
Progress.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tipple's Brews and Wines virtual wine tasting live from Gainesville, Florida, with Elizabeth and Jeff, owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines. Let's get into this week's awesome wine. We are drinking the Opaque Petit Verdot from Paso, Robles.
Yes.
A name and a description.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
First slide, please. What we talk about.
Okay.
All right, the Opaque Petit Verdot wine rating, wine enthusiast 91. So putting it up there with some nice points. Let's see if it lives up, right? Food pairings on this guy: pork adobo, Mongolian beef, barbecue bacon, cheeseburger, smoked cheeses, risotto with shiitake mushrooms, leeks, and truffles. Which
sounds fantastic.
For the vegetarian dishes, that is one that really
that
makes me
sounds
think,
fantastic.
I want to try that.
Yeah. I think the only thing I haven't had is pork adobo. I don't think I've ever had that.
Yeah, that's anyway. So what's cool about this wine, Petit Verdot as a grape, is it's a great red. You know, you've got a big red, right? So you're like, okay, all right, steak and all this thing, yes, but it has these qualities that we'll discuss that really help it pair nicely with extra spice.
Okay.
So
All right.
spicy meats are really good pairing with this as well, not just the savory.
Have we had a Petit Verdot before? Like just single varietal?
One time.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
It was in Uruguayan.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it when we go to South America.
Mhm.
So, okay. So I probably really liked it then, because I can't remember anything from South America that I haven't liked. So,
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
I can't, it's this weird statement. I can't picture what it tastes like.
No, well,
Which is
it
kind
makes
of a
sense
weird
because
statement.
it's unusual to get it as a single variety.
Mm,
It's almost
okay.
always a blending. And
Okay.
this is one of those where, you know, I get all excited to share. It's like, okay, this is how we learn what Petit Verdot adds to the mix, right?
Okay.
Because you get to try it on some.
So I will stop the sharing. You will pour for me.
Yes,
Okay.
that will happen now. You can stop your waiting.
I've
have
been
not-
very disappointed in you recently. You usually are, always on top of giving me something to drink. And lately you're like, oh,
Oh,
well,
did you
I'm
want some?
talking.
Yes.
So why should you get to drink when can't drink right now?
I'm here to share with you. All right, so it is that time. Pour yourself and your friend or significant other a glass. Ideal temperature to start is, to me, I like to start around cellar temperature. So I put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. It brings it down around 60-ish degrees. 55 to 60 is a great start when you go for traditional European style cellar temperatures. Doesn't have to start there. It's going to warm up in your room anyway. This is
Okay.
Florida. But it's a nice way to get started, I think. All right. Wow, boy.
It
Those
is
beautiful
Florida,
aromas.
but it is uncharacteristically cool
Oh,
outside.
it's so gorgeous.
So-
Nobody wanted to stay in the store today. They all came in, bought stuff, went outside and sat
Oh, I'm
on the
sure.
patio. They just
Gorgeous
loved it,
outside.
right?
Mhm.
So this is 100% Petit Verdot. So we get to really explore the varietal tonight. Alcohol content, 14.9%.
Okay.
Like I said, it is not shy in its color, its aromas, or its flavors.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Mhm.
Really giving it a good chew, letting it coat my palate. Oh, wow.
What vintage is this?
This
Okay.
one is 17.
So it's already 5 years old.
Mhm.
It has so much acid. I thought it'd be younger.
And it's a good call. That speaks of quality grapes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So 14.9
14.9. So I had plenty of ripeness.
acid, tannins,
Mhm.
15 years.
Yep. There you go. 10 plus easily. So 15 is
Okay.
a perfectly good,
Okay.
perfectly good estimation for the number of years you could give this guy in the bottle.
I'm learning things.
Yes.
It's only been 2.5 years, but
Hey, it's coming around, but you're right. It's got some
Mhm.
freshness to the fruit, got nice tannin. You got a higher alcohol content. This is a wine that can age. It is such a big beastie of a grape. This has had 24 months in barrel before getting bottled.
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a combination of French and American oak.
Mhm.
I would guess a significant amount of it new, because you
Okay.
can definitely feel that effect on there. And Petit Verdot has so much tannin. There's a lot for that oak to mellow out. right?
Oh, okay.
So probably not all new, but I would suspect a significant amount. They didn't say, but 24 months, that's a
Yeah,
long
that's a
time
long
hanging out in the barrel. So, all right,
Do-
aromas.
Well, do we want to
Yeah.
see what everybody's
So I'll go
tasting
into,
or
yeah,
smelling?
so let's, now that I've kind of thrown those initial thoughts out there, what are you guys smelling and tasting as you, work your way into this glass of wine?
I see Chris typing.
Yeah.
Paul might be typing too. You guys can take the mics if you want to also.
Yep.
Everybody's shy today. People were
I know.
shy in my class today too. They didn't want to take the mic.
A big wine, very floral, yes,
Mhm.
right? I'd give it,
Yeah.
there's that jumping out of the glass, there's a lot of floral. And I would say a significant amount of licorice going on the nose. Right?
Very berry forward, like elder, something like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I get it. Blackberry, black plums,
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the dark.
all the dark berries.
Mhm.
You can go blueberry. On the palate.
I was gonna say blueberry, but then you didn't say it, so then I was scared to say it.
Oh, no, you're totally right. No, blueberry is perfectly fine.
I always have the hardest time picking out the individual flavors and everything. It's the pairings so one of the things that I saw was like a short rib chili. Spurrier's has a short rib chili, and it is going really well with it.
Oh,
Nice.
great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's cool about this grape, and Paul brings up that, I talked about spiced meats, right? Because of the big fruit component, which is not all we're discussing, otherwise we wouldn't be nearly as interested in this wine, right? But because of that big fruit, that fruitiness, which is not sweetness,
Mhm.
it is fruitiness, really pairs nicely to kind of work with, play with the heat,
Sure.
right? So,
Yeah. So, and Chris and Robin are not shy tonight. They're just noisy right now. So,
oh,
yes.
okay.
They'll be on the mic later.
Okay. So, some other thoughts, clove. And for floral, right? How about the purple knee, right? It's almost like going down there with a little bit of a Malbec effect. Lavender and violets.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. And I agree with Paul. I have the same problem that he does with identifying, pulling out the specific flavors. I know that you and Linda have an easier time with that than we do, but yeah, pulling out those individual flavors are difficult. But so when somebody suggests something or you suggest something, then I can more easily identify it. So I like hearing what other people have to say.
Good. And I don't
what
like
you
to
have say.
stomp all over everybody, but obviously, I've had this wine before, right? So I already wrote down my initial notes. So yeah, that's but all right, so
One moment.
Mhm.
So, Jerry, your chat is going just directly to us, so I'm gonna read it out. But I didn't know if you wanted it just directly to us or if you wanted it to everyone. Okay, so he said supper was spicy Indian. Do you pronounce that Rogan?
Rogan Josh.
Rogan Josh
Oh.
with basmati rice. Basmati rice.
It's a spicy
Monty.
stew with either beef or lamb.
Nice. Yeah, perfect. That's
Great
perfect.
with wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the kick of spice
Yeah,
with the meat.
Indian spicy would go really well with this.
Absolutely.
So tonight we are having bourbon
Yeah, it's
salmon with Cajun spices.
well
right?
with the
No,
kick
with
of cayenne.
Cayenne.
Right.
Okay.
So-
As you know, we don't cook for ourselves on Tuesdays, so it's hit and miss whether it goes with it or not. So my mother was describing what she was making to Jeff, and he said, "Hey, can you throw in some
He's doing a
spices?"
little kick of
Which Jeff
cayenne on that
never
bourbon.
asks for spices to be
Yeah.
thrown in, especially when my mother's cooking, because she
Right.
cooks spicy anyway.
Right.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, it's fun. I think it'll be a fun pairing.
okay.
Salmon, a little light for the protein,
Sure.
we always, but
Right.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun with the bourbon glaze with the kick of the cayenne. I think
Okay.
that could be really fun with it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so I'll stand behind that. That's right.
Okay. I
Right,
mean, we're
so-
not having roasted chicken tonight, so
Exactly. Nor are we eating Cheerios. So there we go. It could be that.
Okay.
Hey, when, depending on how busy we get, right?
When
So
was the last time we had Cheerios?
I don't,
When Reese was a
when Reese was a
toddler?
toddler. yeah,
Okay.
right, right,
All right,
So 20 years ago, just a few years ago.
just a few years ago.
So, in addition to we've talked about fruitiness, we've talked about spiciness, we've talked about floral qualities, right? Now, but this also comes with, there can be a bit of a tobacco leaf, smoky, baker's chocolate, earthy
Oh, sure.
tones to pull it
Mhm.
down. And I would give another sip and think about that real quick, because I do believe that they are.
Mhm.
Mine's been open about an hour and it's really opened up.
Mm.
Very nice from when it first came out of the bottle. Not that it wasn't good then, but quite different now.
Mhm.
Right now, this is, and I like you bring that up. This is one of those wines that will open up, but it's a pleaser from the beginning,
Okay.
right? So it's one of those, which I think is a really nice balance,
Mhm.
where you can pop it in the glass, you're enjoying it from your first sip, but you're gaining more as you
Right.
keep it, work your way through the evening
Right.
with your wine.
So Chris says he gets baker's chocolate, but not spicy. And I think when you said spicy, you meant like you
Baking
mentioned
spice.
clove, right?
Right.
Baking spice and clove, not like peppery.
Right, not a pepperiness this week.
Yeah.
Right, not, I
More of
wouldn't go
like an-
peppery.
like an herbal.
Like an herbal and like a herbal and more like allspice, clove, anise,
Okay.
those kinds of things. So more on the baking spice kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think when you say spicy, it sounds hot, like peppery.
Right.
to-
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is what
Yeah, and fair enough. There are
Mhm.
plenty of, like, we had Syrah last week, which had a pepperiness to it, but
right,
this one does not have.
right. That's what, yeah.
Right.
Licorice and clove, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's more of the spice we're talking about this week. So
Well, we were just commenting that I was telling Paul, I said it tastes in just 20 minutes. I feel like it tastes so different than it did in like 25 minutes ago. So I think I can only imagine, like Jerry said, you opened it an hour ago. So it'll be exciting to see what it'll taste like in an hour.
Enjoying the journey.
Yeah,
I'm glad that
definitely.
you're, and I'm glad that you can tell that difference. And what I'm finding already with ours too, is when you first pour it, it's big fruit, right? And then
Yeah.
you're getting the spice.
Yes.
And the more it's open, the more balanced it's getting with,
Mhm.
it's almost becoming a little more Bordeaux, like we're getting a balance of fruit, earthiness, spiciness, floral, and the tannin and acid playing together,
Right.
where it's really nothing standing out as bigger than the rest,
Okay.
which I really love.
And then evidently Robin misrepresented him. He didn't say but not spicy, said not smoky.
Smoky. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. These can be smoky.
Mhm.
I'm not getting a lot of smoke on this. I would go more. Those are among what you can get, but I would
Mhm.
go more tobacco leaf, baker's chocolate
Mhm.
for the earthy side of
Mhm.
things than I would smoky. So I like it. All right,
I'm just getting dark chocolate myself.
there you go.
You'll
That's a
have to let us know how it goes with it.
quality pairing.
Mhm. Wait, you're off, your mic's off, Jerry.
Perfect, I'm sure.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. More wet earth than peaty.
Okay, I like it. Yeah.
Would you
Mm.
like for me to share so you
Mhm.
can talk about the label?
Yes, let's talk about the label. All right, so now's the time when we pretend you're wandering around one of those cold, heartless wine stores that doesn't have help like Tipple's and trying to find something to bring home and enjoy. So if I grab this bottle, just impressions, what would I think as I'm walking, right? So Opaque, cool name, cool look, right? Okay, that's
Mhm.
going to draw me in. I'm almost certainly going to look on it. Petit Verdot. Now, there's an interesting moment, right?
Mhm.
Because do you know Petit Verdot, right? Most
No,
people
I
would not,
don't.
right?
So I would go over and get a Syrah or a Zinfandel.
Right. So what this is going to have to overcome is that it is an unusual grape
Sure.
to be a solo grape. I mean,
Mhm.
normally it's in a blend. So by itself, without somebody, it's going to have a significant hurdle there. But I feel like they do a lot of help here, right? So
Mhm.
it's from Paso Robles, not just California in general, from a
Mhm.
certain area, right? And then the Riboli family American Winery of the Year,
Oh,
right? So you're
yeah.
like, okay, from Wine
Mhm.
Enthusiast. I mean, that's not nothing.
Right,
So-
and that would be what would make the difference for me if I'm looking at it, seeing the wine enthusiast. Oh, okay, because I think sometimes it can be just PR.
Right,
That's
yeah,
on your
oh,
plate.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you know, if it was
Mhm.
from the Smithtown drinking circle, you know, right? And then
right.
you'd be like, all right, well, you know, that's nice. I'm not saying it's not, that they
Right.
don't know their stuff.
Right.
I'm unfamiliar with the
Right.
Smithtown drinking circle, right?
Sure.
So, on the back, you got your nice vintage there, and I'm thinking, oh, this has got a minute, you know, 5
Right.
years in the bottle. And if it is a big red, which it
Mhm.
is, so much the better.
Mhm. Well, and I think too, like you made the point with the Paso Robles, I think
Mhm.
even if you don't know wines, you've probably heard of that region and think,
Mhm.
oh, okay, because I've heard of it, it's probably pretty good because it's something that's well known.
Right. The only problem you could come in there
Mhm.
is if people are just getting into learning about wine.
Mhm.
There's Paso Robles has gone through, and I've talked about, and we will talk about this,
Mhm.
this transition where it was making a lot of grapes to where it's begun to make a lot of good grapes,
Mm,
right?
okay.
So maybe less pounds per acre, less tons per acre, and more quality, right? So it's in a transition. So you could look at that if you just knew a few wines from 10 years ago and say, oh, Paso, that's going to be low.
Okay.
Why is this not $15?
Okay.
Paso only makes cheap wine, right?
Okay.
So there is that thing, but that is so not Paso anymore.
Okay.
All right. So, and then a really nice write-up from the family, the Riboli family. And so to me, they're giving their stamp on it multiple
Mhm.
times.
Mhm.
The other thing it might be is like, all right, this is a Riboli family that I like it. They're claiming it as a family.
Mhm.
They did spin this off as its own brand
Okay.
instead of making it Riboli Vineyards, you know,
Mhm.
but that doesn't matter at all, right?
Okay.
That's the name they chose.
Right.
That's fine. So, so they've got a great statement right from the family that will show up again and again as we learn more about the
Okay.
Riboli family and their winemaking. So overall, I'm looking at this and thinking good things. Like
Mhm.
maybe I'm thinking, okay, Petit Verdot, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I am going to get something that somebody's put their stamp on.
Right.
It's from a specific region. Hopefully, I'm going to be optimistic that this is going to give me something fun.
Sure.
Right. If you're up for, say, a challenge, if you're not familiar with Petit
Mhm.
Verdot already. So that was me. I like what they did with the label. Bottom line.
No, I like it too.
Next one, please. All right, Petit Verdot. What on earth are we drinking here tonight? Petit Verdot, like I said, is normally a blending grape, traditionally used, originally anyway, in Bordeaux, France. So Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, talk about of the varietals, you say Bordeaux varietals as a term, right? Petit Verdot is one of those. So you Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot are the dominants. You get to Petit Verdot, Carmenere, you know, you've got the secondary varietals from there. So
this says sage, but that's the like clove and.
right, well, in this case, sage would be more of what I was calling the tobacco leaf,
Okay.
right? And going so like that.
Okay.
So, kind of that herbal side of thing. And I
Mhm.
think sage is a good description. I think green tobacco leaf and sage can often be kind of an overlap
Mhm.
in how you're perceiving it. Like here we have Chris was talking about wet earth and more wet earth. And,
Mhm.
you know, that's that kind of that green, you know,
Sure.
what am I getting here?
Sure.
But it's in that organic, but not sweet in any way, you know, vein. So I think that's legitimate. Violets, we said,
Mhm.
lilac, good call, you know, and this goes, I don't memorize these things ahead of
Yeah.
time. I said violets and
And
lavender,
Right.
violets and lilac, cool, but definitely a purple floral
Sure.
influence.
Sure. Yeah, and Chris and Robin are saying maybe thyme.
Time, yeah,
And that Chris thinks it reminds him of a Merlot.
actually, this is
Did you hear
a
that?
little more, reminds them of Merlot, well,
Mhm.
probably with a plum, right?
Mhm.
So,
So it's interesting that Spain grows so much more of it than France does, since it originated in France.
all right, well,
Mhm.
that is part of what we're going to talk about,
Oh, okay.
right? But it is fascinating. right?
Mhm.
So you look at where is it grown, right? There's France, because it's a blending, they use very small amounts. We're talking about 3 to 5%
Okay.
in their blends. It's not a significant.
Mhm.
Australia has really enjoyed it. The US is quickly growing more and more because we've loved what it does with our red blends.
Okay.
So it's gaining a ton of popularity
Mhm.
in Australia and the US for our red blends. Why?
Yeah.
Right?
So let me ask you one thing about here. The graph alcohol is not at the higher end, but 14.9 is one of our higher end
Right.
wines that we've had. So I think we had 115 plus.
We did Australian.
That's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
But so this is more like, this is more a higher ABV than usual?
It's because when you put in there, you are factoring in France.
Oh,
And
okay.
French Petit Verdot is not as ripe and not as high alcohol, not as much sugar.
Okay,
That actually factors into several things we're about to cover.
so it pulls the average down.
It
right?
pulls the average down.
Okay,
But tannin very high, body very high, color, which they don't put in here, very high. So the French use this to boost tannin
Mhm.
and boost color, but they use it in small amounts.
it does say deep purple up there. It just doesn't rate it on a
Right.
graph. Yeah.
Because obviously it's an inky beast, right? There's a lot of color coming.
Yes.
Let's go to the next slide. So Petit Verdot, more about the flavors.
Mhm.
All right, black cherry, black plum, violets, lilac, sage. Well, there it is again, right?
Same thing as it said.
So it just looks a little cleaner because Wine Folly has a beautiful look. So,
I liked the last slide too, but it is cleaner.
right.
Mhm.
So at 14.9, we're at kind of
The
the
top.
top end of it.
Mhm.
And once again, I believe that could be exceeded
Mhm.
with what we're doing in the new world with it. I think the French side of it keeps it as an average a little lower.
So, the 15% is only showing as 4/5
Mhm.
of this image here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you break it down, it's 3 point something%. So it's close to 4% for each of these. Are there wines that are 19%, 20%?
Only if they're fortified.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay,
Almost only if they're,
okay,
yeah.
all right,
so we effectively know that may not be proportional.
okay,
So,
ready?
yep. So Petit Verdot,
Mhm.
the official story, origin is Southwest France.
This is the official story.
The official
Okay.
acknowledged story is it originated here.
South of Bordeaux.
Yeah, I mean, Bordeaux inclusive, but this area of France.
Okay, this area
Um,
where it's showing nothing being grown right now.
Right. Yeah, well,
Okay.
there's a lot being run, and we've had Tannat from down there,
Okay.
but they're just not as famous.
Okay.
So they don't get listed on every one of the different maps.
Okay.
So the official story, and possibly true,
Okay.
right, is that the origin is Southwest France.
Okay.
But one of the things I said, so I talked about lower alcohol from French grown, because it is a long ripening grape. It needs a long time and a lot of sun and warmth. It has a hard time fully ripening in France.
Okay.
You get nice tannins from it, you still get nice color,
Mhm.
but they have a hard time getting it to be fully ripe, so they don't use it as much. In the new world, where we're warmer and have more sun, Australia and the US, we're getting a lot more ripeness out of it
Okay.
and using it more because of it.
Makes
Now
you wonder
there's-
if, as we heat up, France will use it more.
That's a good point,
Mhm.
because they're already using it. That's a very good point. But there's an argument out there
That
that
it's
is
not from
not
France.
from Southwest France. That is, it is in fact from Southeastern Spain. And when you look at the fact that it doesn't fully ripen traditionally in France, it's a little hard to imagine that that's where it was created and
Yeah.
thrived originally,
Mhm.
right? There's no definitive answer at this
Okay.
point, but you also see how much it is grown in Spain. Right? On
Right,
that, on the
right.
thing,
It
right?
was what, almost a quarter of the ground.
So, I mean, there's a lot of it grown in Spain. It's blended in Spain as well. It doesn't have its own name. It doesn't come across as like, oh, that's what you're drinking. It's called this.
Do they call it Petit Verdot?
They do, as far as I've
They
been able to
do.
see. I looked it up
Okay,
and I
so
couldn't
there's
find
the
the name.
argument for it being in France.
Or the original name that the Romans used,
Mhm.
which is the argument that the Romans are the ones
Okay,
moving it around, has been lost.
okay. All right,
I'm sure it has some names in Spain, but I didn't see one listed.
okay.
So, because I looked up that specifically, I thought it's gotta be called something. It's
She's
gotta be
like,
the same thing.
my
for
wife
everything.
is gonna ask me that.
So, anyway, that is the thing. It is up for debate where the origin of this grape comes from, but it does express itself differently. With more sun, with more heat, and more time without late rains, it does become more luscious, higher alcohol, and more readily drinkable as a grape than what is expressed usually from France. So. I agree. Boy, that nose has changed. This is very much like, black cherry, baker's chocolate, and then sage and thyme.
Mhm.
It's more herbal with it now. Really pretty. So
Next.
yes, please. All right. So this grape has a very thick skin,
Would have guessed.
an intense skin, and also a intense peripheral zone. It gives a ton of color, a ton of tannin, a ton of flavor. But obviously it's got to have some robustness, because here we are drinking a more ripe version of this grape,
Mhm.
but we still talked about tartness from
Yeah,
the beginning,
from the beginning.
of, a freshness to the
Mhm.
fruit, even if you don't want to say tart.
Mhm.
It certainly was fresh and not like a dried version of the fruit.
Right.
It wasn't like dates
Oh,
or
no.
prunes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So anyway, robust grape.
Mhm.
I think it's a great grape. It's actually one of my favorites. So. Next one, please.
No, I'm just wondering about the statement that it's one of your favorites.
Mhm.
We so rarely, I mean, this is very rare to have a single varietal Petit Verdot,
Right.
but it's one of your favorites?
It is. It really stands out for me. I love Petit Verdot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. If I had a lot more options, I would be drinking a lot more of
Right,
them.
that's
Right.
right. Yeah.
So.
Ready?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. So actually I found this in one of our where I was mining some old information
Mhm.
that we'd covered this, but I never like to keep throwing terms out there and without covering it again once in a while, especially something that I use as often as old world versus new world wine.
Mhm.
So it's really quick to cover too, which is kind of nice. And the most basic difference between old world and new world wines is geographic.
Mhm.
Old world refers to traditional wine growing regions in Europe, and new world refers to everywhere else. So it's like boom, done. But the map does a great job showing it, right?
And the reason it's old world is because they've been growing it for thousands of years.
Right.
And the new world has.
And we've been growing it for hundreds, or 100 plus, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. So yes, exactly. It's really about the time. Now there are stylistic differences. They don't have to be stylistic differences. There just tend to be stylistic differences. Like one of the things that you will find more common with old world wines, and you'll know what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
is it doesn't always taste like it smells.
Right.
But
Yeah,
in the
we've
new
talked
world,
about
right,
that.
we talked about, but in new world wines, it almost always tastes like what it smells like.
Mhm.
There may be shadings of difference, but in old world, you can actually get some wines that are significantly divergent. I've had some where I smell, I was like, wow, this is a big fruity wine. And you drink it and it's just lean and farmhouse and, tart and, in the opposite way as well. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was just thinking too, does the new world ever trick you with color like the old world? I think what specifically Spain does, where sometimes you're looking at something that is lighter and but it's a bigger body, or the opposite. I can't remember. what it is.
Italy.
Italy?
Mhm.
Okay.
Italy with old world can look like that. You'll have wines like Barolo, so Nebbiolo, right?
Mhm.
Nebbiolo grape can look almost like Pinot Noir. You see right through it.
Yeah.
And it's got tremendous tannins and just jumps all over and glues your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and not a subtle beast at all.
But does New World do that too, or not? Not really, because I think
Well,
I've only heard of that in Old World.
If you were to flip it on its head and say something that was incredibly dark but had no tannins whatsoever, the New World does that quite a bit with cheap wines that are not very fun to drink.
Okay.
So
Ones that we do not cover.
yeah, exactly. They wouldn't make it to this discussion.
Here's a bunch of wines that aren't interesting at all. Let's taste these.
Yeah, right. Look, it's fruity in a transportation system for alcohol.
There you go.
Hey, bonus, it's cheap. Yeah, I just think that would be a very short discussion, right?
Yep.
Anyway,
Ready?
yes. Can you sense the tractor that was part of picking this up? Anyway, all right. So where in the world are we? We are in the United States, in California. So right in the middle growing latitude of the northern hemisphere to the far west. All right, so we are here, right about the middle of California. So middle.
Mhm.
Here it is up here. I like this.
It's
one
so
better. Here's
small.
Paso
Yeah.
right here.
There we go.
Let's get in. So here it is, Paso Robles. So inland, but really a really interesting place. So Paso Robles. Oh shit, actually,
You what?
I forgot to cover a little bit about my Petit Verdot facts, right? 4 times more of it's planted in Australia now than France
Oh, wow.
because of the ripeness and what they find they can do
Sure,
with it. And the
sure.
US is growing very quickly as well. So I guess that, yeah, and I'm talking about it doesn't, it's slow ripening. So just because they get green flavors and it doesn't quite get what they want. That's why it's less popular in France. I guess I didn't miss much. Paso Robles means pass of the oak trees.
Okay.
Mhm. The Wild West of California winemaking, because it has a ton of different temperatures and soil types, right? So to the far west, you get some areas that get, because you can see the mountain range here.
Right.
You get some areas that get mist.
Mhm.
So you can go everything from Pinot Noir to warm growth, varietals like Tempranillo out of it.
Mhm. So then when you go further east, are you in the valley there then?
You go in the valley and then you end up going into
Going
the
up the
mountains
next-
again,
okay.
which gives you an entirely different option. So it's the Wild West of winemaking, and that you have so many different grapes that can be grown there. Hence things like Petit Verdot, right?
Yeah.
They can be used for a single varietal wine. The town of Paso Robles was founded by Drury James.
Oh, must be my cousin.
Well, he is the uncle of Frank and Jesse James.
I don't know if we're related to Jesse James or not.
So a wide variety of growing conditions. California's fastest growing AVA, American Viticultural Area,
Mhm.
right? Since the year 2000, it has grown from 50 wineries to 200 wineries.
Since 2000.
Since 2000, 22 years. What is the commonality, right? I talked about all the differences. Why is it an AVA, right? There's got to be something that kind of brings them
Mhm.
together, right? Commonality, opulent, ripe fruit driven wines can be over the top in the old days when they were just growing for
Okay.
tonnage, right?
Mhm.
Spicy and earth component from a long growing season without late season rain. So they're able to leave them with a long hang time, slow ripening on the vine without having to rush it and pick them and get them out of the rain.
Okay.
So
when we say spicy, do we mean spices?
spices, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, there could be some Syrah in there, but generally we're talking about baking spices.
Okay.
Right. Heat. So once again, you got something that wants to be baked, right? To
Mhm.
get it going.
Right.
But you don't want it to over ripen too quickly and you want it to have some time. So how do you do that? Well, they have 105-degree temperatures during the day that go down to 40 to 50 degrees at night. So
And it's a dry heat. during
yeah,
the
right.
day.
So there tons of sun, tons of heat, everything to get them ripening,
Yeah.
and then it turns off at night,
Okay.
quickly cools down.
Yeah.
So the first wine crop ever planted in Paso was Zinfandel.
Oh, was it really?
It was it.
Okay. With the wine tasting on Sunday, did you hear the rep say that Zinfandel is the grape of the US? And I was like, wonder if he was talking to Jeff about that. Yeah, he just copied what you.
Yeah. He heard that from me. Like, not everyone that might say that, but I guarantee you 100,000% that was from talking to me.
Okay.
Because I've had, So, all right.
Next.
Yes, please.
All
So
right.
let's take a look at Paso. Here we are. So this is more on the eastern edge, right?
Mhm.
So valley floor moving up into the mountains on
Mhm.
the eastern side, away from the ocean. And then,
I just want to see Jeff for president.
thank you so much. I love a good Zin.
Yep.
And
Wait, don't you want to see this little house just going up
Mhm.
right there? That's where I want to be, right there.
Yeah.
Well, except for the 45 at night.
I wouldn't mind.
I know. You'd be outside at night. I'd be outside during the day.
Yeah.
We would never
We'd
see
never
each
see each
other.
other. Ships
It
in
would
the
be
night.
great.
If you know. Conversations had like 20+ years in marriage.
There you go.
All right, so yes, next one, please. All right, so here's on the other side of the valley
Mhm.
where the mists come back over from the Pacific influence.
Well, it's interesting
Pacific
too,
Maritime
because you see how
influence.
verdant this side is.
Right, yeah, you
And-
can see they
right,
get
the
water,
other
right? And the other
side's
side.
like
Something to drink. So,
Ready?
yes. So the Riboli family wines,
Mhm.
they make Opaque. It's among several of their wine brands, but they are, they received the Wine Enthusiast American Winery of the Year award in 2018. They're 4 generations working on their 5th
Wow.
in the family winemaking. So yes, they have multiple brands and that kind of a thing, and they do make a lot of wine, but they're still completely family owned and involved. And that's all of them right there. And they actually have a really, really great video that it's a little longer. It's not long, but it's a little longer than I would normally do.
Mhm.
But it's the one they made for their winery of the year. It's like, I'm not going to be able to describe their family and their
Sure,
winemaking
sure.
better than that. So
Yeah.
I put that on.
Okay. So is that next?
That is next.
Okay.
Actually, this is the vineyard that we actually got our grapes from.
Oh,
This is
okay.
their Paso. They actually bought their first Paso Robles vineyards in the year, in the 2000s.
Okay.
So, but they've been
It's
around for over
gorgeous.
100 years, so
Gorgeous.
they've been expanding from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
here we go.
We are a family of dreamers, built by a nation of dreamers. Through world wars, prohibition, the Great Depression, we have overcome and forged ahead. Our home is this winery, it's these vineyards, and it's these people. It's our Robles family.
We came in the ship of Agosto was the name of it, and we came in August. I was 7, and I landed in New York on August 29, and then I came to Encino to meet my aunt and my uncle.
Only here in Lincoln Heights, there were 5 wineries, only in Lincoln Heights. But the way my uncle was telling me that prohibition was tough. And then in 1929, when the Depression came, he lost everything. So he started from scratch after the prohibition. And then I had my children, and we all stick together, and they're all good workers, and we kept the thing going.
My mom and dad, Nono and Nona, as we call them, they had the most incredible work ethic. They worked 6-7 days a week. They worked tirelessly. They were always thinking and always sharing those thoughts with us. We didn't get here by the traditional modern ways of today's marketing. We got here by selling wine bottle by bottle. I guess you could say the old-fashioned way.
Our history is over 101 years old, and it's a wonderful accomplishment in this industry. But one of our biggest achievements is owning our own estate vineyards. We now own vineyards in Paso Robles, Monterey, and Napa Valley. As a company, sustainability is our future. We strongly feel now going with 4 generations, with a 5th hopefully coming into the company soon, that not only is it good for the environment, it's also good for business.
Our winery is as sustainable probably in modern day world with solar power and water treatment. Just the amount of energy or the lack of energy that we use to make this winery run is really, really important.
Wines that were made 70 years ago, to varietal wines being made today, to Stella Rosa, semi-sweet wines, to, I think, the gamut. We have different customers with different needs, and that's our loyalty. People come here almost like they did 80 or 90 years ago because they feel comfortable. and they know we're part of that community of Los Angeles. It's just a bigger community now. That's all.
You have to take risks, you have to take chances. And that's, I think, the philosophy we maintained, believing in ourselves and feeling that let's work hard and let's make a legacy for ourselves.
4 generations now have worked hard together to create what we created, but it's also because of the people, the teams that we consider our family as well, from our sales staff to our marketing teams to production to our grape growers. We wouldn't have anything. We can't do it ourselves, and we owe it to them. I mean, frankly, this award is for them. It's all about really the family being huge and supporting our vineyard team all the way to the winery.
We're not changing the world, but we definitely try to bring on people's life a little pleasure drinking this wine. This is amazing part.
I don't know what's cooler, the fact that this business has been here for so long, and the fact that a winery that's not in traditional wine country is winning American Winery of the Year.
We were always forward thinking, and so we figured, okay, how can we get through these difficult times? And we thought outside the box, and we came up with a way, and luckily the community supported us and made us, what we are today.
It's all about embracing the past and looking ahead for the future.
Salute. Ancora 100 anni. Another 100 years.
Another 100 years. That's great. Okay, hold on. It always wants to catch it again. Let's see if I can get it to go. No, there we go.
There we go. All right. So, I don't know, just,
No, they did a great job with that.
right?
Yeah.
You can see like, they're all obviously working together still. They're just, each of their different parts.
Right? I mean, and making a family business work for that long,
Right?
and through the Depression and Prohibition and all of that. That's impressive.
That's a ton. Right?
Yeah.
Well, they're really proud of this Petit Verdot as well. There was a separate video, but it's like, I only did a 5-minute video. I'm not going to do another one. But they've gotten some of their most prestigious awards on this wine.
Okay.
And so they're really, really proud of what they've done with this. And this group as a whole, the Opaque, they're really excited about what they're doing in Paso and the high quality grapes they're making. So
And that they have a whole restaurant there and everything is really cool.
oh yeah, it would be fun to go visit.
It would be,
sure.
Yeah.
If you guys like this, I was like, you want to taste more of this line, there is more.
What is darkness?
It's a red blend.
Okay.
So it's a little of all these.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's the darkness, the Malbec, and the Zin as well. So yes, I will definitely be working my way through the line. I'm impressed.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So I thought, yeah,
Yep.
good to let everyone know.
Okay, we have a chat. Oh, they love the Malbec. Have you had this Malbec or you just love Malbec?
Just love
okay,
Malbec,
love
yeah.
Malbec. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
just
like
love the Malbec. So I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
It's like, it's like this. It's like things that are purple. Even though I do agree with Chris, like you can almost say this kind of reminds me of a combination of a Malbec and a
Merlot.
Yeah.
So, and then Jerry wants a Zin.
Oh, the Zin, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it, the Zin.
I mean, I'm not having to choose between, I love Zin, but I would like to try the Malbec as well. So
Yeah, well,
whatever you bring in.
pretty sure we're going to be trying them all.
Okay, well, there we go.
It's like all of the above. But I'll probably
I
do
was just thinking of the password for if we got darkness for this, because I'm just thinking hello darkness. So I'm thinking you would put my old friend.
my old friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably would. Yeah,
Some kind of pun on it.
no doubt.
Oh, and either Linda or Paul or both wants to try darkness. Oh,
Yep.
Linda wants to try darkness. Yep.
Okay. And we don't let Julie try any of them.
No, we're gonna ban Julie from now on.
That's
We
right.
just don't let her in. We
Nope,
just
she's
leave her in the
done.
waiting room.
Right, too much. All right.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Is the
with-
next one the ratings?
yeah, the next one's a rating.
Okay, would you like to stop the share and see if there's?
Yeah, let's stop the share. And now that I've run through my spiel, any last thoughts?
We lost Taja.
No.
She left.
Taja went to go get a second bottle.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, once it's opened up, it's just a very drinkable wine.
Mhm.
Went very well with supper, but it goes just fine without supper. Candy bar, whatever. It's just a very drinkable. After about 20 minutes, I think Linda said 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a highly drinkable wine with or without food, but it's got enough character to carry it with food to make it something to be taken a little more seriously. But you don't have to take yourself too seriously. It's super enjoyable,
Okay.
right? It's just anyone would like this wine if you like big, dry red wine.
If you like big dry red wines, yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
So,
High school me would not have enjoyed this.
oh, I can that. Well, they have their sweet ones for high school you.
Well, I told you, I had my wine coolers back in the day. It was
Nice.
all good for me then.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to
To
the
the
thing,
ratings.
ratings. We'll
I'm
talk
not
about it
looking at
again.
the chat. They've thrown things in there already.
I know, well, they know what they're doing.
Premature.
They're ahead. Premature scorification
Yes,
from the TTP,
yes.
tip tasting panel. All right, jumping in there. All right, so you guys hear me say this all the time, but worth saying. This guy was giving an outstanding rating, right? An outstanding, a wine of superior character and style. Underutilized is the 85 to 89, the very good wine with special qualities. Generally, an 86 would be considered almost a failure of a wine that people would not drink. That makes no sense with the way they set up the system, but effectively,
Right.
that
Maybe they
is
need
what
to
they do.
change their descriptions since it
Right.
is, you know.
Yeah, so it seems like a shame that that is the case. So,
Right.
but be that as it may, that is the effect. Other things to consider. Are you a red wine drinker?
Right.
Is this wine well made for what it is?
Mhm.
And is it a good representation of the grape and a good representation of the area? And then the wrapping it all together, how much did you just really enjoy the wine?
Right.
Right. So
Okay.
it's
So
an amalgamation.
let us see. Okay, so we have Paula 91, Linda a 90, Robin and Chris 92, 90. Agree it was better with food. I'm assuming that's the whole group. Okay, all right, cool. And then 90, 91. Is Harriet with you, Jerry? Or is that no? Okay. All right. And then 92, excellent drink anytime from Dr. Fricker.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I would have said a 91. Yeah.
Yeah, right there with it. Yeah, definitely. This is a delicious bottle of wine, right?
Mhm.
And reasonably priced, excellent stuff. I'm very happy with this bottle of wine, which of course I
So
chose.
let me ask you, because I think we're making red chili tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
If we saved a little for tomorrow, would it be good with that?
I'll preserve it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, because you're gonna use the
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just put some preservative in there and gas it out and get the outgas
Okay.
it
Okay.
and hold it in there. It'll be fine.
But it'll be good with that because it's.
Oh, it'd be really good. with
Okay,
that. Yeah.
it's very spicy,
Mhm.
even though we're doing turkey. It's
Yeah.
turkey
Oh, yeah.
chili.
No,
Okay.
it'll be fine.
All right,
It'll be fine because of all the spices and the red sauce and,
Okay.
and all that kind of thing. And the thing is, it doesn't have the crazy big, huge, aggressive tannins of a Cabernet Sauvignon,
Right,
right? So
right.
you can play around with things. It's like us having the salmon we're going to have tonight. It will be okay. It will be.
I think I'd rather save it for the chili though tomorrow
Mhm.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fun with it. So,
Okay.
it is a little more velvety here,
Mhm.
though it could be rough, right? But
Mhm.
that's part of how it's a little riper version
Okay.
of it.
Right.
So it's a little more velvet
Mhm.
rather than just aggressively tannin. They can be aggressively tannin.
Okay.
So,
And then Consuelo's at a 92.
oh, great. Excellent.
So I think oops, sorry. I thought I was looking at I thought I was on the chat, but I was on the slides. That's why I just went through the slides for everybody. I apologize. So I think our range is just 90 to 92. That may be the smallest range we've ever had.
Yeah, that's a nice cluster
Mhm.
of,
Yeah.
of all of it being in the outstanding range.
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
was impressed. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it as well.
Mhm.
I brought this in, read about it, was very intrigued, brought in a sample. forced myself to go through it with me and Jake.
Oh, darn it.
Oh, no. So, and I thought it was great. So I'm glad you guys agreed. Excellent. All right, let's thank some sources.
Okay.
We'll start talking about next week. All right, thank you to Wine Folly, always, 750.com, Wikipedia, wine.com, the Rivoli Family Wines, Opaque Wines, Food and Wine Magazine, Afar Magazine, Ocean Drive Magazine, and PR Paso Robles, or Robles, as I hear they say, though it hurts my brain to want to say it.
Yes, true.
But anyway.
It's okay. They also say conch incorrectly out west because they say conch, and every time they say it on TV, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
All right.
All right. Next one. So next week, it's time for a white. We've gone through a really good run of California
As we
reds.
cool up, let's have a white.
That's right. Hey, it's just time. It is time. I've given everyone a good run of big red wines. Right, I know. That's right.
Next week. Yeah, it's okay. Next week she's gonna make a steak. It'll be fun.
It'll be perfect. We do have, like, one of them has a key lime tangerine glaze on it.
Oh,
that with the beignet would have been.
That's my mother made 2 different kinds of salmon.
So we're going to, yes, we're staying in California, but we're having beignet, which we have not as a group had yet.
No.
So beignet most famously is from Bordeaux, France's whites, or a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and beignet.
Okay.
No, Semillon. I'm out of my mind.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway,
Say that again.
scratch that.
Okay.
Viognier, though, Viognier has a great weight to it, like Chardonnay.
Okay.
Right, and yeah, if Semillon also has a great weight to it, and if you're, thinking about multiple things at once, you might just cross things over in your brain and say the wrong one. But anyway, Viognier is incredibly aromatic. It's got a nice weight to it. It is not Chardonnay, but it has this weight to it, and that I think it's a more rich, robust white that can go with some of the bigger white wine dishes.
Okay.
So butter poached salmon, pad thai, Moroccan vegetable tagine, that is a sweet potato based spicier dish.
Yeah.
And then chicken tikka masala. So it can stand up to a little more robustness for the white wine.
All
It's,
right.
one of the things I like about it. So this will be an excellent version of it from Minor. Minor is based in Napa Valley, incredible winemaker. I think you guys enjoy it. The wine rating's at 92, gives you a reason to be optimistic if nothing else, right?
No, absolutely. Okay, Robin and Chris, love Viognier. Surprised we haven't had it yet.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you,
Some of you. Surprised you haven't done it yet, just saying.
Like Petit Verdot, it is one of those where there's not a lot of single varietal Viognier out there.
Yeah.
And when it is, it's often made cheaply. So when I went out to my reps and I said, look, I want to do a Viognier, but I want a good Viognier.
Right.
There was a lot of crickets, and I had to kind of hunt down a little bit.
Okay.
They're only within the whole state of Florida, there are only 4 or 5 options.
Okay.
And but I've had the Minor before, and I know what that winemaker does. So.
Will sushi go well with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sushi will, because it can handle a little spice and kick because it's got some richness and some presence. It is not a thin, light white.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it's got that heaviness you said.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll talk about all of that fun next week.
Any last questions, comments, anything you want to share?
Just real quick, because we haven't really been on mic too much. I really like this. We had a spicy like adobo.
We did pork carnitas with an adobo sauce,
Right.
which is what took us the entire time to make. So.
But it was really close what the recommended thing was, and I was like, sounds great. I think it goes great. It goes so well with it. The pork is a little spicy and this holds up to it so nicely. And like Jerry was saying, this is like good on its own as well. I think this is gonna age really, really well. Yeah, I really like this.
Good. I'm glad you did. Excellent.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay.
All right. Well,
thank you, everyone.
here's to you guys. Thanks for joining us. Here's to
Cheers.
this wine. Right?